previously on this channel, just last month, I said this. Considering the fact that Trump is now redirecting federal agents who, might be interested in combating terror attacks, to now patrolling the mean streets of Washington, D.C., stopping people from, drinking in public or riding scooters on the sidewalk, we can expect more shootings like this, unfortunately. Wow, I must be some kind of psychic or just an average person with common sense because, as I'm sure everyone knows by now, on Wednesday, September 10th, far-right conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was shot and killed by a sniper on a college campus while he was giving a talk. This is an enormous tragedy because this is exactly the sort of event that would translate to loads of lucrative content for Charlie Kirk were he still alive. A lot of people are saying that it's terribly ironic that Kirk died to gun violence because he has long been a proponent of gun violence, saying once,
"You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death." That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
It's considered ironic because people assume that the deaths he was dismissing as necessary were those of small children trying to learn their times tables and not, himself. But in reality, we cannot know what was truly in Kirk's heart, and now it's too late to ask if he thinks his own murder was worth it. Unless, of course, the afterlife does exist and someone has a supernatural way to summon a demon and ask her to take a break from peeling Charlie Kirk's skin away with a razor blade to ask him about it. So it's possible that it's not ironic. It's possible that Kirk really was happy to die for the cause of continuing to allow people to own guns that serve little to no purpose besides murdering people you don't like. So let's give him that. There's been a hearty debate online and offline, I guess, over the right way for people on the left, particularly to respond to the news of Kirk's death, with conservatives and moderate liberals particularly chiding anyone who celebrates the death. Celebrate can mean different things depending upon who is doing the chiding. It could be dark humor, like how I opened up this video. It could be posting memes about what an awful person Kirk was. Or it could simply be amplifying the horrendous things he said. Just posting his own words is enough to get someone fired. Like, for instance, that time he said that empathy is a made-up New Age term that he can't stand because it does a lot of damage. It's very bad to post that because apparently that's taken out of context. So in the interest of fairness, I will now play the full clip with all of its context.
So let's just very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
Now, you might notice that what was written on that meme is not what he actually said, but it doesn't mean that the conservatives sharing that meme are lying or hypocrites. They also might be illiterate, and we should hold space for that. But I'll continue to be fair and offer even more context for Kirk's remarks in whole. Charlie Kirk was a Nazi. Oh no, the leftist just brands everyone she doesn't like as a Nazi. What a jerk. Okay, here's some more context. I say the word Nazi because it's shorthand. I do not have the time to refer to him constantly as a white supremacist, fascist, nationalist, racist, transphobic, misogynistic bigot who called for the violent murders of his ideological enemies and provided support for the ongoing genocide of a marginalized group. That's pretty much my definition of a Nazi. I think it's a fair one, even though you may disagree. Here are some clips that support all of those labels I just put on Charlie Kirk.
You're comparing abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse. Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Black crime is a major issue in our country. Why are you pushing criminal justice reform exactly? Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Now, the southern border is, of course, the great replacement. They're trying to replace us demographically. They're trying to make the country less white. It is an anti-white agenda. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Taylor Swift is now engaged to Travis Kelce. This is something that I hope will make Taylor Swift more conservative. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge.
America was at its peak when we halted immigration for 40 years and we dropped our foreign-born percentage to its lowest level ever.
Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters. In Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Can we get that picture up, Ryan, of that Marvel's Avenger team? Now, I don't know who the person is on the left. Is the person on the left that came and did the interview with Joe? The TikTok, your government is being run by freaks. It's like immediately I have like a flashback to a country where weren't able to do Bud Light commercials. What does being trans even mean? Is that even a real thing? It means you need therapy. We must ban trans-affirming care the entire country. I do think that there is a direct correlation between someone's testosterone and their politics. On young men, the lower their testosterone, the more likely they are to be Democratic.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped and she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil. But what happened? Something changed. I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled Alzheimer's, corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America. For example, Politico says top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. Of course you should reject any link. Why is the Republican Party, why is the conservative movement to blame for gay schizophrenic nudists that are hemp jewelry makers breaking into somebody's home, or maybe not breaking into somebody's home? Why are we to blame for that exactly? And why is he still in jail? Why has he not been bailed out? By the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. I bet his bail's like $30,000 or $40,000. Bail him out and then go ask him some questions. I can't see a single instance of Israel going out of its way to kill civilians.
You don't see it in a single instance of what?
Israel going out of its way to kill civilians. I see Israel going out of its way.
So you don't believe what they've done is genocide?
No, of course not.
I'll throw in a few extra fun facts. Charlie Kirk bragged about sending dozens of buses full of patriots into D.C. to storm the Capitol on January 6th. He also created a professor watch list with the names of instructors who said things he disagreed with in order to get them fired or worse. Still don't think he was a Nazi? Well, it's not just my opinion, it's also the opinion of these self-described Nazis who took to the streets of Huntington Beach last week to chant, "Say his name, Charlie Kirk," and hand out Nazi recruiting pamphlets to children.
Charlie Kirk! Crush the left! Unite the right! Crush the left! Unite the right! Crush the left! Nationalists this way! There can be no negotiation with irrational, satanic hatred. Any illusion that peace can be made with the radical left was shattered. They killed Charlie Kirk because he loved Jesus Christ. They killed Charlie Kirk because he proclaimed that Christ is King. God bless Huntington Beach. Antifa!
Fuck Antifa! Fuck Antifa!
Charlie Kirk!
Charlie Kirk!
Defend! Take back!
Our land!
Defend!
Neo-Nazis go home! Neo-Nazis go home!
Charlie Kirk! Charlie Kirk! Charlie Kirk! Charlie Kirk!
Oh wait, that's not the way we're going.
So there's the context. To reference my opening point, did Charlie Kirk truly believe all the vile things he said? I've been watching him and commenting upon him for many years, and I've seen him move from libertarian with a capital L to Christian nationalist. I saw him get more openly fascistic when Nick Fuentes and his Groyper army started criticizing him from the furthest end of the right wing. And I recently saw him even start to realize that even his own brainwashed audience was pushing back on the Israeli genocide due to the obvious horror they were witnessing or the abject anti-Semitism they already had, who knows. So he was talking about it less.
No young person, no person under 30 in America supports Israel. They just don't. Look at the polls. It doesn't matter whether you're conservative or not, like virtually none of them. And that was Charlie's constituency. And Charlie was hearing from those people that they were not into this and they really weren't into our support for the war in Iran and bombing Iran and all that. And he was trying to find a way of bringing that to President Trump and bringing that to his donors and to everybody else to say, hey, you might be losing some support here. I said the same, and both of us got treated like we are Mehdi Hassan, and we were annoyed. We were both annoyed by that.
I don't think it's a mere coincidence that over the years, his views have always changed in a way that his right-wing audience rewarded with money and views. But in the end, it doesn't really matter if he truly believed all the Nazi talking points. He ran the propaganda wing of the Trump administration. That's why Trump loved him so much. He had the primary goal, and his organization, Talking Points, had the primary goal of radicalizing young white men into the fascist hate machine, and it was very effective. For these reasons, I do not see why it's necessary to join the conservatives in the performative grieving of Charlie Kirk. It's fine to state outright that we should never murder someone for their speech. Personally, I think it's absolutely disgusting that a man with so little respect for human life, particularly, was able to own a gun capable of taking a human life, much less to then be able to carry it onto a college campus and kill someone with it. America's gun laws are completely anti-human, and America's gun culture is stomach-churning. The suspect is in custody, and you can see loads of pictures that his family has posted of him with guns, smiling at guns, practicing with guns. He grew up around guns, and he had easy access to a gun that was able to brutally murder a person. And I think all of that is disgusting. But that's not enough for a lot of conservatives and libs online, particularly my fellow cis white people who are insisting that we not just condemn gun violence, but also that we should feel bad about Charlie Kirk's death because, according to one meme I saw shared by friends, his life mattered no more and no less than any other life lost, which is a nice idea that literally no human actually believes. Like, I'm sure that you believe it, but you don't, because I'm pretty sure that if someone showed you those clips of Charlie Kirk being an open white nationalist, violent bigot, and then Sophie's choiced you, and you had to choose to kill Charlie Kirk or, say, a random 6-year-old in school, I think you'd know immediately who to pick. I'm a humanist who does believe that humanity is ultimately good and that people can change and that we deserve to make this a better planet for everyone on it. But I also believe that a Nazi's life is worth less than other lives. Any other lives, to be honest. And I've made that decision because Nazis first made the decision to place little to no value on the lives of marginalized people because of traits they cannot control. People of color, immigrants, LGBTQ people, women. It's the paradox of intolerance. We cannot tolerate people who will use that tolerance to enact statewide intolerance. I will not be mourning someone who died violently, encouraging the violent deaths of marginalized people. And I refuse to accept the dishonest framing that refusing to mourn the death of a Nazi is equivalent to celebrating the use of a gun to murder someone, or the even more ridiculous idea that it's akin to encouraging further violence. It isn't. Right-wing terrorists have been murdering people on the left for decades now, actively encouraged by the right-wing media. For years, Bill O'Reilly went on Fox News and told his huge audience that George Tiller was a baby killer for providing women with necessary health care, before eventually one of his fans finally succeeded in murdering Tiller in 2009. That was after other people made attempts and Bill O'Reilly kept encouraging them. That served as a real wake-up call for conservative pundits. They realized the power they have over unthinking bigots in their audience, and so they doubled down. With O'Reilly himself straight up lying, claiming he never even called Tiller a baby killer, and that anyway, everything he said was true, and the whole world just accepted it and moved on. And now the vast majority of mass shooters is revealed to be terminally online white men with easy access to guns and an internet history that shows bigotry that precisely mirrors that of Charlie Kirk and Tim Pool and Candace Owens. Are there outliers here and there, people of other identities? Yes, but the vast majority are right-wing ideologues who have these violent thoughts and tendencies and act them out. And yeah, I know I've seen the memes on the conservative side where they're claiming it's actually leftists who do most of the violence. It's just a straight up lie. They're telling you that the sky is green. It's ridiculous. Is my refusal to mourn Charlie Kirk a lack of empathy, as many liberals have told me in the past week? No. I watched the close-up video of Kirk being shot. And despite the fact that I loathe him and his views, and despite the fact that he had literally in the clip just downplayed domestic terrorism as misidentified gang violence in a racist dog whistle, I was horrified at that video. If you haven't seen it, I have to tell you, do not seek it out. It's horrible. I had a visceral, empathetic reaction. It was empathy for seeing another human being die horribly and pointlessly in a way that no human should. But it was not empathy for one Nazi that the planet is better off without. So much gun violence actually goes unseen, and seeing it happen right there in high def instantly brought to mind all of those brutal murders that we haven't seen. Like that's what it looked like when somebody gunned down George Tiller in front of his church congregation. That's what it looked like when a bullet tore through the body of 7-year-old Daniel Barden of Sandy Hook Elementary. That's how it probably looked when just over a month ago, a right-wing Trump fan gunned down Minnesota Democratic Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. All of these people who no one on the right cares about because their violent deaths weren't convenient excuses for them to further the agenda that they've been steadily advancing all these years, to install a fascist strongman who will brutally repress, deport, and kill the liberals and progressives who have been standing in the way of their great white Christian paradise. My lack of mourning for Charlie Kirk, along with my lack of interest in shaming anyone else for how they choose to use their own free speech to react to Charlie Kirk's murder, is in fact due to an abundance of empathy. Empathy for the Black people who have had to argue in good faith with Charlie Kirk's bad faith rhetoric that tells the country's youth that Black people are less intelligent, less able, less deserving. I have empathy for the trans people who have had their lives threatened because Charlie Kirk's insistence that they are an abomination and a throbbing middle finger to God. It's empathy for the still living victims of gun violence who not only had to lose their children, their siblings, their friends, who not only had to then watch as an entire country did nothing to prevent it from happening again, but who then had to see Charlie Kirk announce that those murders were just an unfortunate cracked eggshell in the great omelet that is America, something apparently the rest of us just need to accept. And even worse, they now have to hear about how by not properly mourning Charlie Kirk's murder, they're the ones who bear responsibility for the far right and the Trump administration's coming retribution. Violence that, again, to be clear, was always in the works. It was always the plan. They were always going to find some excuse. And now many mainstream voices are helping them pin that excuse on Charlie Kirk's ideological opponents who are simply exercising their freedom of speech while they still have it. So yeah, the reason why I feel abject disgust for Charlie Kirk and his viewpoints, and I have no interest in hiding that disgust, even though he has been horrifically murdered, that's empathy. And just like most, if not all of the things Charlie Kirk hated, empathy is one of the best things we humans have. And I embrace it with my entire being. And that's why I can say that this kind of terroristic gun violence is unacceptable. And also, Charlie Kirk made the world a worse place for everyone in it, including himself. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.